Alexandre Kojeve was a Russian-born French philosopher and statesman, mainly concerning himself with the thought of Hegel. The majority of his thinking is embedded in a series of lectures he did in Paris from 1936 to 39 on the philosophy of Hegel's phenomenology of spirit. His interpretation is known for influencing the next generation of French thinkers from the post-war era, most notable being Jacques Lacan and Michel Foucault. The most influential contribution that Kojeve brought to contemporary philosophy is his reinterpretation of Hegel's absolute knowledge in the framework of post-war social-political reality. In his second edition of the reading of Hegel, Kojeve defines this reality through two end-of-history scenarios: animal barbarism and Japanese snobbery. Animal barbarism, as Kojeve believed, was the current state of Western society, and where the concept of Aufklärung, sublation, has ceased to commerce within the human species, thus progressing to animal life. This animal desire was a kind of desire in where sublation does not occur, as the animal needs nature to survive. However, this nature in context of post-war society is not the nature of reality, but the pseudo-nature of American consumer capitalism. This end-of-history animalization would contrast the Japanese snobbery of post-war Japanese culture, in where Japan, just like the West, has ceased the sublation process. However, instead of delving into the barbarism of American animalism, Japanese would find a pseudo-identity through the non-negation of reality. Japan's snobbery would be the foundation of the anime industry of the post-war era. Of the anime have found its origins in the animated series Astro Boy by Japanese manga artist and animator Tetsuya Ozamu. The Astro Boy anime would become groundbreaking in the medium by creating the fundamental signs that would later define the anime genre. Such signs being the exaggerated facial expressions, specifically focusing on big eyes and heads, as well as the simplification of the human anatomy. The second milestone in Japanese animation would be the advent of the media franchise with the introduction of Space Battleship Yamato and Mobile Suit Gundam in the late 70s. Mobile Suit Gundam would usher in what Japanese cultural critic Azuma Hiroki called the grand narrative into media anime consumption. The grand narrative, as Azuma states, is a pseudo-narrative to fill the vacancy of previous historical narratives that gave collective meaning to society. In the context of Japanese society, the collective historical grand narrative would be the Meiji military nationalism of the 19th century up until the Second World War. Mobile Suit Gundam, with its appeals to Japanese traditional ideals such as honor and self-sacrifice, was a successful sublation for the greater pseudo-narrative of the Gundam franchise. With its many sequels as well as spin-off series, Mobile Suit Gundam created the perfect internal universe for the emerging otaku to delve into his deepest fantasies. The yearning for home is seen to be fully satisfied. Returning to Kojeve, the ideal Japanese snobbery started to re-emerge in Japanese consciousness. Around the time in broader Japanese society, Japan was benefiting from the economic success of the post-war era. The 80s were the apogee of economic success, and this newfound success brought the reinvigorated sense of national pride. This pride, however, was constructed on the pretense, as the foundation of this economic success was founded on the faulty economic principles of the neoliberation of Western economics of the 1970s. The blowback of such policies would later emerge in early 1990s, starting the lost decades, a period of Japanese economic social history lasting between then and today. The lost decades saw an increased rate of unemployment, economic stagnation, and a general sense of apathy among the young male Japanese population. It had seemed that the grand narrative of the late 70s and 80s was over. By this time, the Japanese animation industry was in decline. However, out of the ashes like a phoenix, one anime series will rise to the occasion and save the industry, while at the same time critically interrogating the false identity of the collective Japanese cultural psyche. Genesis Evangelion is the watershed moment in Japanese post-war animation. It destroyed the perceived solid foundations of the anime genre, as well as the Japanese cultural psyche. Shunji, the show's central character, represented Japan's continual effort to escape the trauma of post-war society by regressing into the womb. This wound, however, was an artificial one created through the cultural signifiers of American occupation. Anime at its root is the creation of American popular culture. No matter the failed attempts of Japanese psyche tried to suppress this by overcoating the flows with native signs, as seen in the female character archetype, the beautiful fighting girl, shaping meanings in various contexts and desire of the Japanese viewer. However, the digital female will strike back with vengeance. As in NGE, the female no longer acts as the desire for the protagonist, but the beautiful confrontation with reality. This anime animalism of the hypermodern age will result in the creation of smaller, personalized narratives for the animalized Japanese otaku. A different kind of animalism from the post-war American predecessor, as the former pre-created made an environment for the consumer to nest in. In anime animalism, the environment is created unconsciously by the consumer himself. Azuma will later comment on this cyclical structure of anime animalism being one of database consumption. The database being the total collection of all of the collective signifiers of the anime medium, and on a larger scale with the advent of the digital age, a totality of all signifiers in human societies. Thank you, like and subscribe, and have a good day.